Good evening, fans, good evening, viewers and listeners to TDN Radio, TDN TV, this week in interview audience in particular. Whether you're listening to us on our YouTube channel or on Facebook or on TDN TV for those that don't have Facebook or don't use Facebook, and a lot of folks still listen to us just on the radio, tdnradio.net. So good evening to you, wherever you're listening to us or however you're listening to us. Good evening. It's a Wednesday. It's October the 2nd. I posted on my Facebook page yesterday that some of my favorite people are born in October. So if your birthday is has happened, it's happening before next Wednesday, happy birthday to you. Um, I know October people take their birthdays very, very seriously, so I needed to get that out of the way early. Happy birthday to the Librans in the audience. Folks in Dominica who are listening to us on DigiPlay channel 59, RVR Jams Radio. Good evening to you. How are you doing in HI? Is it raining? It seems like every time we talk to somebody in Dominica, it's either raining or they're saying that it's very hot. And last week we had World Rivers Day, and it was a wonderful week. I saw Wave really in the news and Dominicans participating and paying attention to their rivers. So good evening to you and good job. Those in the Toronto area who are listening to us live on Radio SBE online radio, good evening. Good evening to you also. Of course, in Dominica, October is the start of Cultural Month. The last weekend in October is the biggest festival ever, World Creole Music Festival. Rosalind Carbon tells me presently Dominica is beautiful. Hey, Ros, what's going on? I don't know if you guys remember, Rosalind was our resident medical expert. We used to do once a month a medical interview. So, Nurse Carbon, good evening to you. Hope you're having a great time. Um, yeah, I was saying cultural month, and Dominica cultural time is food, is music, is dress, and all of those things. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, though. Cultural season. What does it mean? What role does our culture play in our identity as Dominican? What I want is for us to question ourselves and to ask, when I say I am Dominican, what does that mean? What is a Dominican versus a St. Lucian? What makes you Dominican? And my guest tonight is Miss Aileen Burton. She's going to be joining us. She's an icon and a well-recognized name. There are a few people, and I'm not going to call names because I'm sure I'm going to offend somebody because I'm going to leave them out, or somebody's going to say, "What about Lawrence Bruman? What about this person? What about that person?" But in terms of from an official capacity, folks who worked in the Ministry of Culture and those kind of things, Raymond Lawrence. Alwyn Booley, Delia Coffey Weeks, those type of folks come to mind all the time. And so I was very, very honored when I called Aileen and asked her if she would be my guest tonight on this weekend interview, and she said yes. And so she's my guest tonight. I'm going to take a quick break while you share the live. Tell at least 5 people that we're on, that Aileen Burton is on this weekend interview tonight, and that they should join. And when we come back, you're going to get a treat. Those of you who are not familiar with Dominica's culture, you're going to get a treat. Those of you who are familiar with Dominican culture, you know what you're going to get. So stay tuned, get your drink, and share the live. Wonderful, wonderful. I told you that we were going to
Oh,
make
I
you
can hear you
nostalgic.
now.
We were going to make you nostalgic tonight. We're having a little bit of trouble with our guest, Aileen. We we can hear her, but she's not able to hear us. I am not sure how we're going to fix that because we've been trying to fix it during the intro. Um, the only thing I can say is if she is able to maybe tune in, maybe on Facebook, and but then there's a delay. But folks, I'm going to attempt to tell you a little bit about Dominica and Dominica culture, while Sam will take um, Aileen, I guess, off stage and try to see maybe if she, I don't know if she has earphones or something. Sam, maybe you can communicate with her and tell her to see if she'd be able to listen on TDN radio, maybe, I don't know, or if she has a computer on this week in interview. To be so unfortunate if we're not able to hear her. But folks, you got a little taste of it. The music was by Maxillian. He used to be on our program regularly, guitarist, and he and his brothers play music. It was a medley of Dominican folk music. Beautiful, beautiful music, and the slideshow that was playing was of the different aspects of our culture. The women in their dress, the more formal dress is called the wab duet, for those of you who are not Dominican. And when I see a Dominican lady put on her formal dress, she transforms into something like royalty. Um, it affects her, I think, because she carries herself with a certain majesty, and it affects everybody around her because they definitely treat her like royalty. And when it's independence time, well, it's our cultural time. Dominican independence is on November 3rd. Um, during colonial times, our initial interaction with the Europeans happened in 1493 on the 3rd of November. Christopher Columbus and his gang landed on the island. And so that continued as our national day while we were a colony. And then when we declared independence in 1978, we did it on that day. So that's also our Independence Day, January January 3rd, which in Alvin says Columbus is a liar. Well, that's why I said when he and his gang first interacted with the residents of Dominica, I didn't say anything about what they say he did. Um, he was lost, and somebody had mercy on them, and the wind took them to Dominica, and that's what they got there on the 3rd of November, 1493, on his second voyage. Um, but so Dominica Independence celebration is on January 3rd, but the entire month of October, if you have to go to, if you like culture and you like people interactions and our customs, and so the month of October is actually a wonderful time to go to Dominica because you experience our food. And as the late Ronald Astafan, if you saw my interviews I did with Ronald before he passed away, he was a trainer of chefs, and he used to go out into the region and train chefs. And he said unequivocally that the only other island in the Caribbean that may rival Dominica in terms of the variety and the richness of our cuisine was Trinidad and Tobago. And we know Trinidad and Tobago has a tremendous, really rich cuisine. He said Dominica rival that in the way we prepare our food, in the way we use spices and seasonings, and all of those things. Um, and so one of the things you're going to experience when you go to Dominica during that time is our food, our kalaloo, our sancoch, our smoked meat, our crab backs, our gel kosher, pig snout, and red beans and dumpling. And Dominica just has our pilau, our local foods and so on. When you go to Dominica during our Independence time in October, you're in for a treat. If you're a foodie, you should definitely put Dominica on your bucket list. Sam, I don't know if we can get somebody on the phone. I don't know that maybe able to talk culture with us. Is it possible to just call Aileen on the phone, and patch the voice into the conversation? Um, and then we just have maybe a photo up to represent a photo of hers. Maybe we can do that, since when she comes live on this platform, we can hear her, but she doesn't hear us, and it would be a shame not to have her on. So maybe we can try. I don't know if you have a way of just doing her by phone, and we can do the audio. So if you can work on that, that would be awesome. So I was talking about our food. The next thing about Dominica that you'll experience if you come during our cultural time is our music. Dominica just has a rich music. And folks know that. A lot of the Caribbean people know that. We've taken calypso, and our calypso have a special Creole flavor to it, because all of our influences has to do with our English background, which is mixed with the French, which is mixed with the African, and we were able to blend it because Dominica was so rugged. Because Dominica was so rugged, um, our people had the opportunity to develop themselves quite separate from the Europeans, um, quite separate from the Europeans, and we were able to do a Dominicanness in our culture, and so our music that's reflected in our music. Do you know the more popular music in the Caribbean right now, soca music, it had its genesis in Dominica, when Lord Shorty spent some time with his musical friends in Dominica, and he heard our Cadas Lipso. He and at that time, folks was the hi-fis and those type of loud music was competing with calypso, and calypso was a little slow. So similar to what Jamaica did when they had ska and all of these other types of music, they created reggae from it because the fascination was waning. Similarly, in Dominica, calypso was becoming a little bit, how would you say it, lackluster, and so we created Cadas Lipso with Gordon Henderson and Exile One, and those kind of bands. And when Lord Shorty came to Dominica, his friends with Chris Seraphine and some of the other guys, they created a song for him, his first soca song, Udima Upiti Shorty, Udima Upiti Meumati. He made that song about a relationship he had with a Point Michel, with a lady from Point Michel, and took that back to Trinidad, and that was how soca was created. And the Trinidadians embraced it, and they took it off running. Similarly, in the 80s, there a local band called WCK that now took our Dominican folk music and mixed it with some cadas, and they came up with Bouillon. And Bouillon is now taking the world by storm. You can hardly hear a music from the Caribbean that doesn't have an influence of a sampling of Bouillon in there. And of course, they had the Caribbean Music Awards recently, and Bouillon was recognized as one of the genres in there. And of course, and so our music is something else, but our traditional music, our jimping, our mazouk, our quadrille, our bele, um, and they have the different types of belly. Uh, we we you just get transported on that music from Dominica, and it's the other islands have similar, but it's not quite the same. It's just really how do you say it? It resonates. It resonates in your core. And so Sam, are we able to get Aileen on the phone? Is she, can we get her live? If we can, then put her on. Yes, yeah. Maybe not. Um, I don't hear her. But good evening, folks. We're having a little bit trouble with our guest. I was so excited about, super excited about tonight's guest, Miss Aileen Burton, and then she came on and she could not hear us. We could hear her, but she could not hear us. We were setting up. That happened. We reset and retried a few times, but we could not. So we have Alvin. If make some comments, guys, so I can see that you here. Alvin Thomas, welcome. Master Drago Sanderson, welcome, sis. Um, Rosalind Carbon, we already touched base. Um, Aileen, can you hear me? All right.
Hello,
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I'm here faintly.
Faintly. All right. Sam will probably turn up the volume for you in a minute. Are you hearing any better? All right, folks. So apologies. Aileen, as soon as you can hear me better, just button, because tonight is supposed to be my night talking to you. So I'm just talking to myself. Um, Alvin says when November 2nd, 2024 at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, a Rosalie Bay Resort. What to expect? Food to cook, performances from cultural groups, food cooked by regional chefs. Um, hey Duke, good night, bro. Good to see you on. Alvin say WATO, which stands for fire in the Kalinago language of Dominica, is an outdoor cooking festival that takes place in Dominica. Yeah, if you're in Dominica, you have to make your way to Rosalie Bay on November 2nd. So you bring in the independence at it starts on the second at noon, and it goes on. And I saw what they did in the last few years. That festival is so much food and cooking competitions. They have chefs from the various islands. Sophie says my favorite time to be in Dominica, Creole and Independence season. Good night, Soph. Good to have you. But um, so I spoke about the food and I spoke about our music. Now, when it comes to our dress, the women, the Dominican women, when they put on their national dress, there are two official national dress. There is a jip, which is more casual. It's more of a skirt and a top, but it's still beautiful. It has some embellishments, and so on. Um, Sam, can you mute the mic on there until we're ready? Because it's thank you. Um, but the WAP duet is something special. The the women, like as I said before, when they put on the WAP duet, it's like they get transfixed. And they transfigured is what you want to say. Probably eh, there's an aura around them that is undeniable, and and is just captivating. They they wear it with a lot of jewelry, and they put on some makeup, but just carrying that dress, the way the deportment changes. Doesn't matter what they how they stand in normal times. Once they put on the warp jet, they hold themselves upright, and their chest goes out, and their nose points up in the air, and you just feel like you are in the presence of royalty when our women wear their national dress. They usually also have a headdress, a headwear. Um, Sam, I don't know if you can run the slideshow without the song. Maybe freeze it on the different types of headdress. Um, So because when it is like when they tie it, if she has two tips on a headdress, it means something. Aileen was going to explain all of that to us. It would show a single woman, it would show a married woman that she's not available, it would show an independent woman, and so on. Master says matador, wear it with such pride. That's right. That's exactly the word, Mass. When a woman puts on her wabdiet, she turns into a matador and she struts, like Ophelia says in her song, Marche con Antilles, walk like a woman from the Antilles, a West Indian woman, and they strut, but in a very feminine and a very majestic way. The so the our customs as well, we when independence time comes and we celebrate our customs, our storytelling. Monsieur quick, and the audience would say quack, and then somebody would stand up and give a story, whether it's about Compé or Compé Tig, and they would you tell a story, usually in Creole. And that's a tradition of Dominica because I remember when we were growing up, when it was moonlight, we would be outside and we would sit down on somebody's step or somewhere in the village and we would be telling stories, and somebody would be saying, Missy quick, can we say quack? And when there's a punchline, they would repeat Missy quick quack. Also, there we have a lot of sayings in Dominica, parable, parables, and good night to Dr. Triffy. She has a book. She has written a book capturing a lot of those Dominican wise saying. The name of her book is Powerball, a parable, and we would have a lot of parables. We would have riddles as well, where we would say, Tim Tim, and the audience would say Boisek, and we say Glow de Boot. Somebody would say can. For those of you who are not Dominican, Glow de Boot means water that is standing upright. Aileen, can you hear me now?
I'm hearing you now. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You've gone again.
Oh my God, I was so excited. What's going on?
You've gone
Um,
again. I can't hear you anymore.
Sam will fix it. But we can hear you loud and clear. So I don't know. Let me just tell you to just tell the audience good night, even though I'm going to put it in the chat, um, and tell you to just say something to the audience about Dominican culture, even if you cannot hear my words. So let me put it in the chat.
Ah, la la.
Aileen, please say hi to the audience. Very first, folks. Did she go?
You
All right.
see,
If you
I'm
can
hearing
read,
you now.
you hearing me now?
Yes. I
Okay,
hope it
great.
doesn't go again.
So what I was saying is go ahead and just say hi, say good night, and talk about the Dominican culture. That's what I was saying, even if you couldn't hear me, just go ahead and do that.
Okay. So, hi, everyone. Sorry about this delay, but I don't know whether it's because I'm in Bordeaux, but something went wrong. But at least we can hear each other now. I'm
Hmm.
getting a little feedback, and so that might disturb you a little bit. Okay, hi, Dominica, and all of you who are
Some
listening.
she has two instances. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Eileen.
That's better.
Hmm.
No, I'm still getting the feedback, but okay. I will try to deal with that. Um, Hi, Dominica. I hope you are sharing this with all your friends so you can get the information good tonight and that you will dress. All of you are coming down for independence. I want to see your dress to the hills and traditional. You can have some Creole and Creole, but for 3rd of November, I want to see all of your dress traditionally. So let's go. We have what we call the Jeep community. And it's the simplest of the dresses, but it's the most seductive of the dresses. And it was first made with night dress, and so the night dress is long. That is how people wore night dresses before. It was normally white cotton or light linen and very well embroidered. If you notice on the poster, you will see I am wearing night dressing, and my mother wore the front for me. She embroidered the front for me. So all of you who have nothing to do, embroider the front of your shimmy. Your chemise de nuit. That's what it is called, chemise de nuit. And then you have so it's long. You put up another petticoat over it, a jupon over the bottom part of the night dress, and then you put your jupe on, brightly colored. Could be you could use madras squares. That is something that used to be used before, madras squares. So you would take two of them, sew them together, and you could wear it, or you could wear flowers or stripes, a colorful flowered patterns. So, to look nice and attractive. Then of course, your gold. And the traditional headpiece is called the tête français. No, I don't know whether you would be able to see it. Can I show anything online? No, not at the moment.
Some
I'm
can you
asking.
some, yeah, I'm asking some
I
are you
can't hear
able
you
to
now. Oh my goodness, this
go
is
ahead though,
something
go
else.
ahead,
Anyway,
go
I'll
ahead.
continue talking. So the tête français is the traditional head tie, and it's a special head tie which is used for that jeep you wear with the chemise de nuit. Black shoes and lots of gold, nice big earrings, whatever. Then your little beauty marks, one on the cheek, one below, just by the jaw. This outfit was an outfit of seduction. So therefore, you have to look pretty. You make up your face. This is one occasion where we as children would make our face. They would make our faces up. Nice making. The first time we wore lipstick and things like that. And I'm sure people around my age group will remember that. The little beauty marks, the little beauty moles that were put on were sometimes put on with vanilla pod, the seeds from the vanilla pod, and they were stuck in place with a little bit of saliva. You could light a match, turn it off, and use the burnt part of the match to also put the dots, the beauty marks, and then you can use eyebrow pencil. It's just as effective. So this is the Jeep. The Duet came after, and the Duet is a more stately outfit. And most people consider it the national dress in Dominica, although we have to. The Jeep is also considered that. But the Duet is really the dressy aspect, the dressy outfit, the dressy Assam. Sophisticated, elegant, beautiful. Some people say it's exotic because of some journalists from the early 1900s would say that's exotic, you know. So it is a long dress, and you can make it with cotton fabric. There you are. You have both of them here online. On the screen, you have the one in white, which is a lace material that I used for that dress. So you can use lace. It will be lined, the top will be lined, and the bottom you will use the petticoat, the jupon. So there we are. It is cotton. It can be well starched, and you can see she has, with the two other duets that have just come up on the screen, you have a striped and you have a flowered. So you can use either of those designs. You can use any design. It can be abstract, it can be polka dotted, plain, whatever. The only thing I am asking, I am begging of you, is not to wear print which is obviously, now I use the word obviously African, because first of all, we have to respect other people's cultures, and secondly, they may use particular patterns for particular occasions, but they also have abstract patterns which you can use if this is where you get the cotton from, the cotton fabric from. You can use it, but if it is really obviously African, I am begging you, don't use it. There's a lot of other choices. Now people think you can make it with madras. Now there's a difference between madras and plaid. Madras comes in squares, and they are uniformed squares. Excuse me. There's a demarcation line where you cut, so it measures 36 by 36. If you make a warp duet with the madras square, you're going to get these demarcation lines, or you have to cut it off and patch it. So, and it's quite thin for to make a warp duet. So therefore, you can use a plaid which looks like madras, and it is cotton, and it looks it's cotton. Sometimes they have polyester, but it is cotton, mostly cotton, so you can starch it a bit. Very important. When you make your duet, you must starch it, and particularly the bottom of that warp duet, which is lined with about 16 inches in height of lining, white cotton lining. And then you starch it well so that, pardon, when you picture your dress, permit me to leave you 2 seconds just to have some water.
All right, audience. While Aileen is getting some water to quench her thirst, I hope that you are getting the gist of it. I really wanted to ask her um why not the African print? Because I know there's a strong European influence, but I thought there was going to be a mix of the African and the European. Margot, good evening, Margot. What's going on? She says she watched Delia Coffee and some ladies making Tet Kase. Tet Kase is the headpiece of the national wear at the old mill today. They wet the fabric and starch it so that it can hold its shape. It takes a lot of patience. Yeah, people take so much patience and pride um, in making the national dress. Um, she says, and then they put it in the sun after to bake. It takes a lot of patience. Um, so, folks, I know you guys were hearing both Aileen and myself, but the thing is that she was not hearing me. She cannot hear me, so me to ask her the question. Although I hear her and we hear her, and you guys are hearing me, she cannot hear me. That's what the issue is. So therefore, she cannot hear my questions for to respond to them. Alvin Thomas says that's the excitement that Aileen gets when she's speaking about national wear and that aspect of our culture. And you guys understood what I was talking about when I said that Aileen, she's well steeped in the culture, and she's a perfect person to tell us about it. Aileen, can you hear me?
I'm hearing you now, I'm seeing you. Let's
Wow.
keep our fingers and toes crossed.
All right. I wanted, well, you can still hear me. I wanted to ask you why you were emphasizing that the African print was not the appropriate print to make the national dress from.
I'm not saying it's not appropriate. What I'm saying is that we have to respect other people's cultures. And
Oh, okay.
yes, and the Africans use particular patterns for particular occasions. But I use the word obviously African because there are other patterns that can be used. But I mean, there are patterns which, when you look at it, you know it's African. The
Mhm.
other patterns, although they are African, they don't look, so you can use it. I'm
Okay.
being very careful here, and I'm being And I'm just asking, as the Africans say, I beg, please use flower, because we had flowers, a lot of flowers, stripes, plain, squares, all we have a variety of material to choose from. So when we're celebrating emancipation and all that, we can use all the African prints that we would like. But
Right.
just for the, you see what I'm wearing here is like a plaid.
Hmm.
And you see how beautiful it is. Can you imagine a duet with that? I mean, it looks like a flowers in a garden.
Right.
Mhm. So we were speaking about the warp duets, and I'm saying that the cotton duets must be starched very well, so that when you picture them, which means when you put it up, it has peaks all around.
Mm.
Now, some people feel that they should let the trail on the ground. That is not traditional. You're supposed to picture your dress properly. Does not. I'm
Touch the
getting
ground.
that feedback. I didn't have it at one point. Anyway, there we are. It's gone. All right. So it is supposed to be pictured so that you can expose the petticoat, because the petticoat sometimes is even more expensive than the dress because of all the lace that you used on it. So therefore, if you look at a picture of Irene Peltier, and you will see that her petticoat is exposed all the way around,
Mhm.
all the way. I'm trying to find it for you. But I would like also to, yeah, there we are. Look at Irene Peltier's petticoat. You see,
Mhm. Right.
it's not trailing on the ground. She would not have her duet trailing on the ground. The petticoat is exposed, the jupon is exposed all around. So I don't know where people have developed this habit from.
Just
It's
to put it
not
in
on.
context, our theme of tonight's conversation is supposed to be authentic.
Exactly.
and
So I'm telling you
and so that's what you're schooling us in, because it's okay to have variations, it's okay to experiment, it's okay to be creative, but when we're talking about the national wear and we want to keep it authentic so that folks can see the creativity that's applied, but they know at the center exactly what the authentic national dress is. That's what I'm hearing here.
you this outfit was created by women of color. It was not created by the white people. It was created by the Creole people so that they could be seen, and they could be, and it's telling people something. It is saying to them that we have made it in society. We are self sufficient, or we are married, and or we are self employed, and we can afford to dress almost like the Europeans, because there was something called the Code Noir, and I think it's Louis XIV who made Louis XIV who did this Code Noir, and the colored people could not wear outfits that resembled the white person, so they were held back, they were suppressed. But with the abolition of slavery and people were free, they decided to create their own outfits. So why do we want to change it? This is what I ask myself. Why? You're not going to buy a pair card or and change it, pair card, shoe or bag and change it around. You're not going to do that. So why do you want to do that to your native outfit that was created by people of your complexion, people of your color, people who have gone through the atrocities of slavery, working on the plantation, and are finally free?
Right.
Give them that respect, give them that honor, and use it as they used it before. Let us honor them in that way. And I don't know how more to convince our people that it is not a costume that you can change every 2 minutes and decide you're putting something on your head that looks like the Spanish people, or you're wearing a different color petticoat. Please, this is a special appeal coming from my heart.
Hmm.
that we try and keep this dress authentic. Now, there are a few people who do make them because we have had workshops. I have had workshops and I have shown the people, the participants, duets which are 100 years old. So let us try to honor them. Instead of talking all of the things about reparation, and what the white people did, and so forget about that. Let us honor our colored people. Let us honor our Métis people, our Creole people. This is what they created so that they could find a niche in society for themselves. And when these women walked down the streets, all heads had to turn because this was something that was neither European nor African. But,
Right.
but you can see the blend. You can see they have taken the best of both worlds.
And
I think today we tend to take the worst of the both worlds with our parents, the worst
you know
of
that
our
is true
parents.
because as a people we have to have an anchor.
We have to have an uncle.
We have to have an anchor that we identify with our rituals, our customs, our cultures. And then we can always go out and experiment, but we can come back and we can know what's authentic. We can teach our children what is authentic. Do we have what you're saying? Do we have it captured somewhere where we can refer somebody to, like for example, I know when you have a corporation, a company, and they have a particular color, or even like our flag. If you're going to recreate something with the flag, you can usually go and see the exact code and so on, so that when you create it, you can get the perfect shade and the perfect tone. Do we have something similar to that, or do we need to develop something similar where all of those nuances and those aspects of our cultural wear and so on, somebody can go there and be able to see
Well,
what the
there's a
standard is? Hmm.
it's a document at the cultural division. I don't know whether they have any more, but there is a document which I produced when I worked there. Um, and it was published in 2008. So, you know, it's there. And I realized there was a need for it. This is why I did it.
Right.
I realized that people were doing any and everything. So I decided, okay, I'm going to devote my time. It's my passion. I will do it. So that document is at the cultural division and it's available. So, but I went further
Hmm.
and I decided to do it for children because you can talk to adults till the cows come home and they may not listen to you. So, or they do their own thing because we are
Right.
free, we're independent, we can do what we want. But what I want people to understand is that it will soon disappear. If we keep changing it every year, it will
That's right.
disappear.
That's right.
And UNESCO, I know, has special things like the buildings and like the Twapi toys.
Historical. Uh-huh.
It will soon go down to dress, and they will try to preserve those dresses. So I have written two books for children
Hmm.
because they are our future and my hope to carry on my passion. So all of those coming down to Dominica on for independence, ensure that you get there. We are. It's right in front of you.
The
Ensure
national
that you
dress.
go
Uh-huh.
back with the national dress of Dominica, which is a Jeep chemise, and the other one is the Wop Duyet.
Hmm.
It is written in story form to make it more appealing to the children so that they read it. But all the information is there, including the color code, which tells you what fula to wear with what color dress.
Wow.
Yes, because and things have been handed down through generations. But thanks, we criticize the Caucasian race a lot, but they appreciate those things. And there was a gentleman, Lafcadio Hearn, who documented, and thanks to him, we are able to find out what colors contrasted, and he did that merely by observing the people when they dress, the dominant color of the duet was blue, you wore a foulard with yellow.
Oh,
Now, the foulards could be any scarf, a square scarf folded in a triangle, and you put it over the shoulders with the apex at the back and the two ends tied into the waistband.
right, right, right. I see
So that's the color code.
Maslin is in the audience, Maslin Edwards, and Maslin Edwards has recently found herself at the center of making duet and other traditional wear. She lives in New
Somebody spoke to
Jersey.
me of Vaseline. Yes.
She does the diaspora expo every year.
Ah,
Um,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
And she's on there now. She's saying she wants to learn more. So I'll hook you
Look
guys
at
up.
the color code.
Oh, that's the color wheel. Okay.
That's the color code
Uh-huh.
that I
Uh-huh.
have done. Yes.
So hold it up again. Let's see. When so it has
Okay.
okay, uh-huh. It
You
has like
have blue. If it's a
uh-huh,
light blue, you have like pink as the
like a
fuller.
rose. Uh-huh. I
You
see
see,
that.
light
Hmm.
blue, you have pink as the fuller.
Right.
Dark blue,
You have
I
yellow.
have to go to the that is confusing me now.
No, 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 we can
Then
see it though, but we can see it. And if
okay,
it's green, you
the
wear
dark
pink.
blue, you have a bright yellow fuller.
Right.
Pink, you have green. Brown, you have pink. Red, you have violet. And you would be surprised at that contrast that it makes.
Wow.
Yes. So everything is there in this book for the children. It is in story form so that they, hopefully, they will enjoy reading it. There is a coloring page so the
Hmm.
children can do the coloring. And then there are question and answers. They can answer, and yeah, and even with black and white, they wore like a black duet with a purple fuller. That's deep mourning,
Hmm. Hmm.
purple fuller. And I wore that many years ago when my friend, my very good friend, was brutally murdered. I wore that for her funeral. And then they came out with black and white fuller, and they softened. They softened the colors. But even with mourning, there was a color contrast. Now, other thing I have in this book are the type of earrings that people use. This one here is called a tete negres.
Tite Negres.
Tete negres. And they have names, and they all have names. And we
Mhm.
mainly got those from the French islands, Martinique
Right,
particularly.
right.
Yeah.
Long before custom jewelry was a thing, Dominican women used to collect their custom jewelry so they could wear with their
Oh, yes.
duet.
Oh, yes. I got my first pair of gold earrings when I was about 16, and I used to envy all the other children I would see with gold earrings, the treff, the three balls,
Mm-hmm.
their grandparents,
Passed
handed
it down.
down to
All
them.
gold. Yep, yep.
And these were the self-employed women who made it their point of duty to have their set of gold so that they could wear with their duets and pass it down.
And pass it down. Their gold, their
Yes,
rings, their
yes,
yeah,
yes. Very
necklaces.
simple. Yes,
Right,
yes.
right. So you said so you have two books. One
Yes,
English
the
Jeep,
other
which is the
one
one
is the warm duets.
and that one is the WAP duet, and it's targeted at children, but grown folks can also benefit from it because there's so much
All the
we don't know.
information is there. I think the adults will benefit a lot from it.
Right.
And what is nice about the book is that they can read it to their children because it's in story form.
Right.
One is about two girls, best friends, preparing the WOP duet for Junior Creole.
Mm-hmm.
So the parents are working with them and they are doing it. So all the components of the Bob Duet is there with the color code, everything. The second one is a little girl born in New Jersey to Dominican parents.
Maslin's
And,
daughter. Mm-hmm.
and she is um her mother is working with her and preparing with her her jeep because she
Hmm.
says the jeep will be cooler for her in Dominica. So they're preparing to go home for Heritage Day, and they're preparing the what do yet? The jeep. I'm sorry, the jeep. They're preparing that to go to Heritage Day, and there they are coming from Mass Heritage Day.
Right. Okay. Wow.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
It was something. Actually, I somebody bought one for a little child in England, and her response was just so beautiful. She appreciated everything. She said, "Oh, she's going to learn. She's going to have her mommy make one," and she was so happy. So all those coming down from New Jersey and the States and England,
What
you
about
can
those who are
order
not
it
coming
at
down?
the paint
Where can they
shop.
get the book from? If you're not
The
coming
paint
down to
shop
Dominica.
in Roseau. The paint shop,
Hmm.
which is opposite going down Cook Street. It is opposite the tobacco factory.
Right.
So it's a paint shop.
It's the paint shop. Okay.
Cook Street, Lower Cook
Maslin is
Street.
saying that you need to have those books ready for the expo next year. The expo
Yes,
usually takes
Martin,
place
if
in June.
Martin, my number will communicate.
Yeah. Oh,
Is
certainly.
Martin from the East
Margaret
Coast,
area. From
Vargas
Margaret area.
area?
Uh-huh. But she was
I
in
need,
Roseau. She used to be an insurance agent in Roseau.
okay, I need to talk to her.
All right, I'll hook you guys up.
Give her my number and let her contact me.
Yeah, yeah. Something I'm always curious about, right?
Yes.
Dominican culture is really involved and really rich. I am familiar with Guadeloupe a little bit, and I see Guadeloupe people and Martinique people are also really into that aspect of it. Are the other English-speaking Caribbean islands like Saint Lucia, Grenada, and so on? Do they have a similar kind of relationship with their customs? Do you know?
St. Lucia.
Saint Lucia.
St. Lucia wears the costumes. I mean, they wear their national dress,
Hmm.
like we do. The
Right.
same period. Do they have this thing? Because there is a liaison with the islands that speak Creole
Real. Hmm.
and they celebrate like Journée Creole and so. The French people, they wear their Creoles anytime, any place, anywhere.
Right.
They're not like us because sometimes if I will wear my outfit out of independence, the little children will pass and say, Bonjour, Creole, finish me.
Right, right, right. And even though on the radio or music doesn't feature all year round.
Oh, yes. So, these are the things that I wonder what life with the children when in a few years' time, because we are moving away from the traditional into the modern. So the music they're not so used to the Jinping music anymore. The
Right.
accordion music. They're more into the what they say, rent a tile for bouillon and things like that,
Right. Hmm.
So I don't know. I think an effort probably has to be made with the schools so that it's compulsory when they're in the lower classes to learn the traditional dances.
Now, what about the men? I was never a fan of what they call the national wear for the men,
Wow,
because it was just a black pant and a white shirt with a sash.
I don't understand you.
Is that how
No,
it always was? That the men would be
no,
very subdued and the women would be all
no.
flamboyant?
I tell you something. The costume or the outfits of the men evolved very, very slowly.
Hmm.
Very, very slowly. With the women changed fashion a lot. But the men, it evolved, and that is worldwide, for those who do not have traditional costumes. It just remains as a black pants and white shirt. But we have a red sash. You don't like the red sash?
Not really.
We have the red sash or a cummerbund.
Hmm.
I'm just
Hmm.
looking for the page that I had a few gentlemen there with the costume. And actually, the costume for the men was it was developed in Dominica by Dominicans. The
Right,
Division of Culture asked for ideas, and people sent in those things. So it was developed by the men themselves. Eh?
right. So
So,
we've spoken about the dress.
mm-hmm.
Before we leave, let's talk about the music, our traditional music.
Mm-hmm.
The different types of traditional dance, of course, because our music was always accompanied by dance.
Yes.
Um, Jimping, the belly, the mazouk, um, different types of ballet. Do you want to talk about just that the role that the music played? Because a lot of times when we were growing up, women would wear their and the men wear their traditional wear, but it usually always ended up in a dance, a jimping dance or
Mhm.
quadrille dance or so on. What is the role of our music and our dance?
Well, that is a major part of our culture, yeah.
Hmm.
Major part of our culture, and it comes from both African and European. You
Right.
have the European-based dances, which would be the quadrilles. They came down from England, from France, from Poland. So you have the quadrilles, the flirtations, the lancers, the mazouk, the heel and toe, and a whole lot of them. Well, I think this is mainly what we have.
Right. I know you're
And they
very familiar
all
with it
have,
because you founded the Rosa Cultural Group, uh,
yes,
which was very vibrant and introduced a lot of our young men and women
yes.
to the dance and brought it forward. So is the Rosa Cultural Group still active, or what's going on with that?
Um, in name, it's still around,
Still
and
around?
they're not as active as they used to be. I am
Mhm.
now in the advisory capacity. I am no longer president of the Rosa Cultural Group. I am their cultural custodian. So when they need advice, they can come to me. So I am not actively involved, but also because of Hurricane Maria, I am living out of state.
Okay.
But the president and the group, they meet occasionally, I think, and
Hmm.
but they're
Do they
not as
perform?
active as they used to be before.
Do they perform like at this time of the year that's upcoming or
Not
Independence Day?
anymore. No,
No,
not anymore.
not
Mhm.
anymore. So
Not anymore.
there's need to revive that.
I wish
Rosalind
they would. I wish they would.
Rosalind
But
Carbon is saying that I feel uncomfortable calling our traditional wear as costume. Maybe she means that when you call it a costume, it's like you reserve it for a special time. It's not something that you wear every day, that kind of a
we
thing.
say the national dress. That is what we see, the national dress of
National dress.
Dominica.
Okay.
And we can wear it at any time. And this is something I did with the Rosa Cultural Group when I was president. I would encourage the girls to wear the costume at any time. We would go to mass sometimes, everybody dressed up. I encouraged that. But things change. So it really is our dress, traditional Creole dress.
Dress. Alvin is asking back when women wore the duet, how would the men dress who accompanied the women to those events slash functions?
Well, I remember my parents going to a dance at the Union Club. Every Sunday, they would have a dance at the Union Club. Mommy would wear jeep and daddy would wear black pants, white shirt, and his red cummerbund.
Okay. Okay.
You know, you can wear the sash. You can wear a jacket like this gentleman here. Where is it now? Let me find it for you. Because actually, it is, you see him?
Right.
Right. So you can wear this. And this was taken from it was adopted from the freed slave outfit. And we see those paintings by Agostino Brunius, who lived in Dominica. He was an Italian painter and he did a lot of social scenes. And
Mm.
it is from him that we are able now to see how the men dressed and how the women dressed in that period, and we call that the freed slave outfit.
Right. They will wear a jacket to show
Yes,
a certain status
and yes, that you are free.
that you're free. Okay.
Yes.
So our dress was and our music was a way where people would be able to express pride and a certain self-esteem,
It was
coming from.
related to that, but
Mhm.
as fashion changed, so the dress,
Right,
and gradually, and it was no longer practical to wear every day. There are some people I know who wore a simple form of doing it every day,
right,
but then
and their
things
head
move
ties and
on,
stuff. Right,
right? Things move on, and this is why it has died off as a clothing for every day.
for every
You
day.
you cannot work with it. You cannot work with it. So I remember most people wore it for mass on
Right,
Sunday.
Sundays.
And then when they walk down that street, they were very stately, very elegant.
Hmm.
There's a little friend of mine. Her name, and I must say her name this time. It is Giselle Laura. She did the layout of my books, and she coined a phrase, and she called it Creole elegance.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I love that expression. I give all credit to her. Creole elegance.
Elegance.
Creole elegance. So this is what we mean by GAM, Creole
Mhm.
elegance.
Yeah, in
You
Dominica,
don't
it's a gam,
just
right?
get
Yeah.
it anyhow.
Hmm.
You walk down with elegance, with pride, your head held high. And this is why they call this headpiece tete a lait. A lot of people think it's a tete casse, but it's not. Because when you wear that headpiece with the one peak,
Hmm.
you cannot bow your head. You have to hold your head high. Tete a lait. And in
Tete
Dominica,
layer.
it's called tete piche.
Ted Piche. Okay. Okay. Sam, I don't know if you can put up the graphic with the different headpieces so we can run through that before we let
Well,
Ellen.
you can, oh,
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's one.
The one to my left,
Hmm.
up the top there, is the
Right.
tete poisse.
Okay.
That is the headpiece which was used for the jeep.
Hmm.
The jeep we use in the chemise de nuit.
Hmm.
The one in the center with the three peaks is the headpiece you can use for the jeep as well. I have tied it that way, which is different to the tradition. Well, the other way of tying it, I think Madras should be left to fly a bit,
Hmm.
particularly for the jeep. So this is more creative. I am creative.
You're creative.
See,
Right.
toi fais, more creative. I am creative. The other one to its right is the Ted. That is the Ted Kasi. That is the Ted Kasi. Casse means broken, and when
Mhm.
something is broken, there are pieces, there's ups and downs. If you tear in paper or crush in paper,
Right.
you touch it, and there are peaks and there are valleys.
Okay. Okay.
When you break anything, it has difference. So this is the Ted Cassie, and
Mhm.
three women from three different districts of Dominica, when I did research, have told me this is the Ted Cassie. So we have, I don't think there should be any dispute anymore. One was from Daly's, one was from Grand Bay, and one was from Point Mission. And all of them did that headpiece and
Calling it
called the
Picasso.
Ted
Okay.
Cassie.
Hmm.
We go to the bottom line, and to my left, we have the Tet revolver.
Hmm.
So it looks like a revolver with the pistol. And
Oh.
that was used it's an informal headpiece, and it was used in those days by helpers serving at the table or going to the market.
Okay.
In the middle, we have what we call the tête à lait, tête piché, calandé.
Mm.
Calandé because it has been painted before it was tied. So
Mm.
tête calandé. And they're specialists, they're people who do those things, and they're called calandeuses. And you will find a lot of them in Martinique.
Right.
And the
Okay.
next one to the side of that one in the middle is the tête piché, the tête à lait.
Hmm.
It is not Kalonji. It is
Right.
a madras that has given it that color.
Right. Okay. Wow. You know, Erickson, thanks. That is so rich, right? Um,
Which, and we should be
we
proud of it.
we
And we shouldn't want to.
and we need to be able to educate our folks about that. One of the habits that troubles me. And before we end, I wanted to ask you about that. When I was growing up as a teenager, Sir Clarence Signeret was a little bit of a mentor to me. He would invite me to some functions and so on, and he explained a lot of protocol and etiquette to me. And one of the things that was an absolute no-no was our flag touching the ground and all of that. And nowadays, people wear the flag. Women have only a flag on them. They they go to a wet fete, a powder fete. And when I see it, in my mind, is a desecration of the flag. A lot of it. Um, I know time changes, and I know we have to kind of accept some kind of progression of norms. But shouldn't we really be teaching those things as there should be certain symbols. I don't know if you agree with me, and certain customs that should remain sacred. We can modify and we can get creative, but we should always know what the core and what the authentic part of our culture is. What do you say about that?
I tend to agree with you. I think the flag as a symbol of the nation should be respected. I don't think the flag should be used for any and everything. I mean, you find them in hats, you see dresses made out of the flag. And this is my opinion. I don't know. I think there should be a little bit more of respect because, the flag flies during the day, it doesn't fly at night. At 6 o'clock, all flags are supposed to be taken down.
Right,
And that is that, and that stems from the olden days when, and the enemy could come and steal your flag, come at
right,
night and steal your flag. That would be a disgrace for your flag to be stolen by the enemy. So the flags don't fly all night. You take down your flag at 6 o'clock and you put it up next morning. So
yes,
this shows you the esteem in which this flag was held.
yeah.
Now I don't know, but
Eh,
the
you know,
authorities just need to do something and probably advise people.
and somebody might dismiss it and say that is old fashioned, is whatever. But as you said before, Aileen, if we just keep accepting changes, after a while there'll be nothing. Anything
Yes,
will go,
everything is
anything
going to
will
be
do.
watered down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Everything is
so
going to be watered down. And that is my fear for the national dress. This is why I am making such an effort,
right,
to spread the information, to disseminate information with the children so that they grow up loving it and respecting it. As Dr. Legnot Honeychurch says, to know is to love, is to preserve.
right.
And I cannot put it any better. So you need to know so that you go to love and then you try to preserve it because you
Preserve it.
love it.
Right. Because
So this
because
should
that's
be a
what makes
motto.
you that's what makes you a people, you know?
Exactly. And we are very fortunate, I think, in Dominica to have such a beautiful dress, a beautiful traditional dress.
Yes.
In Trinidad, in Paramin, in Trinidad, some of them do wear the dress like ours
Hmm.
because there were Martinicans who went to work in Trinidad at one point. They went to work the plantation field. So they speak a patois and they also have the dress. But of course, it's not as um, preserved as ours,
Right. Hmm.
because it's just contained in that village. But I think we need to make an effort, and people need to understand, the value and not change it.
And it needs
I
to be recorded. It needs to be recorded and be
done it
available.
recording. I have done the recording. It's
Right,
documented.
right. So now it's to, but
Because of
let me ask you about the books before I go. You say when people come down, they can find the books in Dominica, but people who are not coming down, what do they do? They contact you and you can
for them
send it
and
to
bring
them,
it up.
or they contact you
I'm
and
going
you
to put it on Amazon. It's going to be on Amazon.
going to be on Amazon.
It's going
Okay,
to be on Amazon. I'm in the process of doing that. So hopefully it will be available soon, at least the new year.
right, right, right. And so you know, as we come to a close, I apologize for the technical difficulty we had in the start, but I think all is well that ends well. I think we recaptured it, and we did manage to impart a lot of information
Yes.
to folks about our tradition. I want you to come back because
I would love to.
I believe we need to talk about our protocol. We need to talk about etiquette. I remember I went to a Dominican event in the Bronx, and I saw like we had an official table, dignitaries in the table, and when they started, it was a buffet style, and when they started to serve, the members of the head table dignitaries was just in line with everybody else. It wasn't even like okay, let either they serve the head table or let the head table come on first, take and go sit and so we had the ambassador just in line and like you get some food and you have half of your plate, you go into somewhere else and somebody wants to talk to you and you have your plate of food in your hand. And that bothered me so much that I did a series of programs on etiquette and protocol and decorum. But that was a few years back. Uh, and you don't know what you don't know. So if our young folks are never taught those things, they observe what they observe and they think it's normal. And so I would really like you to come back. I want to thank you for what you do, you and your colleagues in trying to educate and to preserve and to inculcate the love for what is our culture. But so I want to thank you for that, for doing that, and for the books that you write, and for all the body of work that you have. But I really would like to coordinate and collaborate with you to do some shows like this where it's recorded and it becomes available, and folks can understand the richness of our culture and
Hmm.
understand the importance of having it. It's
Yes.
not just some old-fashioned people that don't want to see change. It
Hmm.
is reserving what makes us a people, what makes a
Yes.
Dominican different from a St. Lucian, from a
So,
Grenadian, from an American. So I want to thank you and give you a chance to give some closing remarks, and as we come to a close.
well, first of all, I'd like to say I do have a YouTube channel where I have I have shown how I give an introduction to the Bob Duet and the national dresses. I have also shown in detail the 100-year-old duet that I have. It's called Aileen, Keeping It Authentic. So I'm encouraging people to go online on YouTube and find the videos. I have stopped for a little while because I was unable to. I had some operation and I had to stop for a while. But the beginning is there. So educate themselves. Dr. Lennox Honeychurch has also done a lot of work. Read his books. Read the articles by Mrs. Corderon. She writes from a very passionate point of view. So I have followed on giving details. But they need to get Lennox's book, Our Island Culture, and read. There is so much on internet at the moment. Read about, the there's a gentleman, Robert Duplessis. He wrote an article, and it shows how the slaves played a very important part in the economics of things because they
Mm.
ordered special material for their clothes, you know. So it's not only, I don't know how to say it really, but it is just so interesting and it shows you how it has come down to us. It's very, very interesting. Look at the
Yeah,
African programs, look at the African dances, see where you detect the ballet, the
right.
steps up to the ballet. I can see that in some of the African dances, not all of them. But we do not have a specific tribe that stayed in Dominica.
Hmm.
They still from all over. So
Hmm.
they put things together. And I can identify some of the steps of our ballet, the ballet piche particularly.
Right.
You know, our history is interesting. We are leaving Lennox to do all the work. We need to be doing helping him too.
And we need to encourage people to young people
Yes,
to actually get
of
involved.
course. Find out
Again,
about your roots,
when
learn about
Lennox
it,
when Lennox was
enjoy
restoring the
it.
cabarets,
Sorry?
we used to go when Lennox was restoring the cabarets, the Fox
Right.
Philly. We, as a
Yes.
teenager, we used to go there and camp out for the weekend and help him to
Mhm.
like take all his soil and on and clean it
Mhm.
out. And now it's a
Mhm.
wonderful museum that folks go to visit when they
Right.
visit the
Right.
cabarets. And so
Mhm.
Alvin is reminding me that you have a lot of merchandise. You have T-shirts, you have books,
Yes,
and
you
you have
showed them. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So and they're all available at that place in Roseau opposite Tobacco
Yes,
Factory.
and you see, they are affirmative t-shirts
Mm.
because I want our children to grow up with a certain confidence. So the young Faye, I
Sam,
am
can you put it up? Hmm.
one Faye, I am independent, moi
Hmm.
indépendant. So it
Hmm.
is using the Creole, it is using the English, and it's also motivating the young child.
Right.
Des filles, the girls, for the girls. Des
Hmm.
filles moins intelligents. Trois feuilles, moins créatif, et quatre feuilles, moins fort. Then the
Hmm.
boys, there's a tie, and they have all of the things written there because sometimes I think our boys need a little bit more of a push than the girls.
Yeah, nowadays, eh? Yeah,
Yes,
the
yes,
boys, the girls have surged ahead of the
yes.
boys. So you have
So,
T-shirts and you have books, and do you
yes,
have
we have
like jewelries and
posters.
so on?
No, I don't have jewelry. I
Okay.
have posters. No, posters.
Posters. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
posters.
So if you go to Dominica, just go visit. What's the name of the business?
The paint shop on Cock Street, Lower Cock Street, opposite the tobacco factory.
Right,
On
Lower
Cock
Court Street,
Street. That's
on Court
opposite.
Street, right, opposite
On Cock Street.
tobacco factory. And
Yes.
so, and then you do music as well. You've recorded a few songs.
Have you got it? Yes, yes, yes. We're going to launch it soon.
You have a song coming out that you're going to launch soon
Yes, yes,
for
yes,
this
yes.
season, for this independent season.
Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm.
All right, we look forward to that.
I
Send us
was
a copy. We'll
dancing.
play it.
I was dancing to it actually. The video that you saw.
That right. That song that was playing where you
Mhm,
were dancing. Okay. All right.
mhm,
We'll ask
mhm.
Sam to replay
It
the
talks about the
oh,
duet and the petticoats and the headpiece. So in everything I do, I add in a little bit of information concerning our traditional dress.
certainly. All right. So I want to thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for agreeing to come on the program.
Thank you for
Very,
having
very
me.
informative as we kick off cultural season in Dominica. I didn't get a chance to ask you to tell the audience about June Creole and our food and all of that, but they have to go to Dominica. The last Friday in October is June Creole, and if you go to Roseau or anywhere in Dominica, June Creole, it's a day you will
Or they
never
will find
forget.
the food. The food will find them, and
The
they will
food,
find the food.
right, right, and the music as well, and just the whole ambience in all the business places and so on. So, Aileen, thank you so much. Thank you for what
You're
you've
welcome.
done,
You're very
and
welcome.
we wish you continued strength and good health so you can continue.
Thank you.
And wonderful time. Next time we wouldn't have any audio issues, and we'll spend the entire
Yes, yes, yes. It's a pity. We could have discussed a lot more, but at least, we were able to do something. And let's hope that we get questions so that,
we've been getting a lot of participation.
yeah,
And Maslin has already, I guess, invited you to the expo
that
in
would
June
be
of
lovely,
2025.
lovely to
That would be great.
talk, to spread that information. It's very important. And people who are interested, I concentrate on them. And I ensure that all my knowledge goes through them,
Right.
goes to
Right.
them.
And
Yes, yes.
person that comes to mind, of course, Miss Sabina Mingo with Know Your Culture. Um,
No, oh yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes, I
she's been
did
carrying that
mention.
torch. She's mentioned in the
I
book.
went
Great,
with her,
great.
I went with her group to Matnik. We had a lovely time. Sabina
Awesome.
is very hardworking.
Oh my God.
I admire her, and I help her any way I can. I haven't heard from her lately, but she's one person that
She's a
always
regular on
helps
the program.
every time.
She's a friend of
Yes,
TDN. But I want to say
yes,
good night and thank you so much.
yes,
Uh, and thank you to the audience for staying with us.
yes.
Um, and
For the
of course,
patient.
everybody, I didn't do a commercial break tonight because
Mm,
we only had a limited time with you. But the pin shop in Dominica is where you can get Aileen's work, her books.
yes,
If you
yes.
have young people in your life, you definitely want to get the book about the duet and the jeep.
Mm,
She has a new song coming out this season for Independence. She just has a whole body of work. Go to her YouTube channel, which is a very, very apt theme for tonight's program. It says Alien, the
keep
authentic
it
what?
authentic.
Keeping it
Yes.
authentic. And we definitely try to do that tonight. So good night, folks. And Alien, good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. So folks,
Good
there you
to
had
meet
it.
you.
Yeah, we had a little bit of issues at the start, but I think it turned out well. Thanks to Aileen. She's so full of energy and passion. The passion shines through. And those of you in the audience as well, Alvin and Maslin and Didi Christmas, Didi Easter, and who again? Rosalind Carbon, um, and if I only know you here if you comment. But all of you, are you going home for Carnival? Did you see the announcement that United Airlines is going to have flights from Newark, New Jersey to Melvin Hall, Dominica, starting in February? How exciting is that? And so far the tickets look like they are very, very affordable. To be in Dominica in the morning and get into Margot is here as well. Alexandra Thomas. Margot is here. Margot is always there, and tremendous artist that she is, talking to us about the Ted Cassie. Margot, I want to see some paintings of those women that were doing the Ted Casse at Old Mill. I'm sure you picked up some of that. I'm looking forward to a drawing. Warren Joseph, my niece, how are you there? Hello, my dear. That's my niece. All right, folks. I want to say good night and wish you a wonderful remainder of your week. Stay strong. Those of you who are into American politics, what did you think of the debate last night? And also, the escalation of hostilities between Israel and Iran and Hezbollah. And oh my God, when we think of all the turmoil that's in the world and we think of how peaceful Dominica can be, the contrast is there. So I want to say thank you to my guest, Miss Aileen Burton. Check out her work. She has a YouTube channel, Aileen Keeping It Authentic. And if you are in Dominica, go to the paint shop on Cox Street and see her books and everything else. So, good night, folks, and we will do this again next week with another episode of This Week in Interview. Good night.